Good evening, loves. So, have you ever been about to make tacos and you realize you don't have your taco seasoning packet? Yeah, well, I hate that. So, I decided to figure out how to make my own. So, I looked up my process is to look up several different recipes for the same thing and look at what ingredients they decide is important and at their quantities. And then I figure out if I agree with those quantities. I know my flavor palette. I know what I like and what I don't like, what flavor forwards are great for me or not. And so I will then reduce things by a quarter of a teaspoon or half a teaspoon and play with it. So in a bowl, so we're going to make some taco seasoning. So in a bowl, I have to flavor crushed pepper, or to taste, I mean, crushed pepper. I have a teaspoon of cumin. I have two tablespoons of chili powder. There's a teaspoon of paprika. There is onion powder and garlic powder to taste, and then some oregano. Okay, so a teaspoon of oregano. And I mix all my dry ingredients up. I have my beef that's already been browned. I don't use a lot of salt in the dry mix because I actually salt my meat when it's browning. So I've turned the heat on. I'm going to sprinkle this mixture all throughout. And of course, the quantities also depend how much beef you're using. Okay, once you have that in there, so you also have about a cup of water set aside. You may not use all of it. So I'm going to start pouring water in. And I just want enough to be able to see it on the sides, right? So you can see there's water here and around. And that's where I'm going to start. So I didn't use all of the water. There's still, some in there. And as this heats, the water is going to boil and cook off. So I mix it up, make sure that the dried ingredients get wet and marry with the hamburger meat. And you can substitute ground turkey if you like, if you're not about a beef taco. Now you'll see that the sauce there is very red and reminiscent of your taco packet seasoning. This is really, to me, too juicy. And we want to make sure that it is heated through. So we're going to let it sit for a moment. Let the water get hot and start boiling and evaporating. And you can already hear it and you can see it beginning to bubble. And then this is the part where you want to keep loving on it. So you want some of this juice to evaporate, but not all of it. So give it a moment. And once this is done, you can prep your tomatoes, your cheese. You can use corn shells, or I prefer flour tortillas, so I'm going to make myself a beef tortilla. So after this is done, I'll come back once I've assembled and show you the prepared taco. So this is happy dancing happening. And we'll make sure that it all gets the same kind of love. So if your burner is hotter on one side than another, you want to turn your pan so that everything gets the same level of heat at some point. And again, as it evaporates, it's going to take on a slightly different consistency. It's going to thicken. And so depending on what you want, I'm going to turn my heat down a little bit. Depending on what you want, how juicy, how much sauce you like with your taco meat, how loose you want it, you will cook it to that consistency. This is almost where I want it. All right. I think we're really almost there. So, this is the end of my Make Your Taco Sauce video. I'll be back showing you my prepared burrito. See you soon.